What was your intention when you stabbed him?
What is anybody's intention when they stab somebody?
This is 27-year-old Michael Paul Adams. It's his third day out of prison, and already he's back in the interrogation room. Right now, you have the same objective as Detective Matt of Maricopa County over here, to find out what happened.
Hello.
This is not warm, but it's not cold. So I don't know if it's any better than what you got. So obviously you're cold, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you come over here and talk to me just for a minute? I'll get you like a blanket or something if you're really cold. My name is Detective LeBaron. My first name is Matt. So I understand when you talked to Officer Henderson, he read your Miranda rights. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you understand your Miranda rights? You have any questions about that?
I have the right to remain silent, right?
Right.
Anything I say can't be used against communicable law.
Yes. So I want to ask you a couple questions. Do you want to talk to me, or are you willing to talk to me?
I can reiterate what I've already, shared.
Well, just so you know, I don't know what you've already told the other officers, so that's why I wasn't there when you guys had that conversation. So whatever you want to tell me is good, man. I'm just here to listen.
I'm very tired.
I understand that.
Even at this point, Detective Matt knows a bit more about Michael than you do. Most importantly, he knows that he's dealing with a man with several mental illnesses, including Asperger's syndrome, bipolar disorder, depression, and schizophrenia. This is why you can see him use empathetic yet directive language when dealing with Michael.
I began by asking. I say asking rather than inquiring. I was going to say inquired, but sometimes it's better to keep things simple. I asked Officer the bald gentleman,
Rinaldi.
I asked him if he'd ever read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Actually, first I asked him if he'd ever seen any rappers in the National Geographic magazine. He said, no. I said, me neither. I think he asked me, should I have or something like that? I said, no, you should never. You see any rappers in the National Geographic. It's not something that's educational or valuable to teach about. Poetry is very, very essential to understand and teach and study. The rap scene and community and demographic is to culture that has there's many perceptions that
Individuals with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder may experience cognitive difficulties, including issues with concentration, memory, and decision-making. Michael's struggle to select a word and the change in his choice could be related to these challenges.
I mean, the community doesn't always teach us to be kind to one another and to respect one another and ourselves and women and to be grateful and to value things. So, anyways, it has effects on our community, and then I asked, have either the gentleman Officer Rinaldi, and her name, not Hernandez,
Henderson?
Henderson.
Henderson was the guy you talked to. He was the one that originally stopped you.
Yeah. So Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Rinaldi. Yeah. He was the one who stopped me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Henderson was the first one you talked to.
Yeah.
Here's the irony. Michael caused someone's death, but now he's chatting about kindness, seemingly ignoring the fact that he himself is a killer. You'll see signs of cognitive overload throughout the video. The detective is trying to be as kind and understanding as possible, He's listening to Michael calmly and assisting him in processing his thoughts, which seems to be necessary here.
I off the top of my head, again, I'm very tired. I can only recall about 3 of the 7 habits. One of them is to be proactive.
Okay. Have you read the book?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
It taught me a lot. I mean, it is important to be proactive versus reactive. I mean, obviously, proactive is versus reactive. But so I just feel like I took a proactive approach to resolving, societal disease condition.
You're being proactive for a problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
The problem they're referring to is a 17-year-old boy, Elijah Alamin, playing rap music. It was around 1:45 a.m. on July 4th, 2019, and Elijah had finished work at a Subway sandwich shop and stopped at a Circle K convenience store in Peoria, Illinois. He had stopped to get a soda from the soda machine when Michael stabbed him in the back and slit his throat. The reason? Elijah had been listening to rap music, which according to Michael meant he was a threat to society.
Was the guy playing rap music or listening to rap music or?
Yes.
Okay.
They're out in the parking lot.
Oh, okay. So was he playing it like on a radio or his phone or the car or something?
Yeah.
Okay. When you were out in the parking lot, you saw him or heard him listening to the music?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. That's why I was asking. Okay. Did he say anything to you?
No.
No? Did you say anything to him? You were talking about communicating. Did you say anything to him?
No.
Okay. What kind of rap music was he listening to? Do you remember?
All I remember is something about you don't want no problems with me or something like that.
If you feel that it's threatening to you, I understand that. I don't know why it's threatening because I don't listen to. I don't know.
The demographic is primarily, a group of people that generally, target white families. They glorify theft and gang violence and things of that nature. And there are Mexican families, there are black families, there are white families who are all victims of, the type of, the product of that.
And the product of the message that the music gives?
Yes.
Or send out, I guess, or, okay.
Michael is making a broad assumption about an entire demographic based on their music preference, which is a form of stereotyping. By asking questions, Detective Matt is keeping the line of communication open, fostering a dialogue rather than confrontation.
So when you were in the store, so he was playing the music in the parking lot in his car?
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't say anything to you, not like that, when you were in the store?
No.
Okay. So you just wanted to protect yourself and the community?
Yes.
Okay.
Why did I do that? Well, that depends, on if other people in the community are ready to make a decision that's similar, and if other people were prepared or not. Now, it appeared to me as though the community was prepared for that type of action. Do I know that? No, but I felt that way.
Okay. Why did you feel that, rather than like talking to him or something like that, why did you feel that you needed to stab him? I understand you were protecting the community. I understand that. That part I understand. I still listen to rap music, so
Okay, because I am constantly yelled at, attacked, targeted by people who have this mentality, who listen to this music, who run the streets in gangs, I'm from a law enforcement family, military family, and I am constantly attacked, and talking to these people is not effective.
It doesn't do any good.
No, it does not. Okay. So rather than be attacked, reacting, which is what I've done previously, I took a proactive approach, and I'm still alive. So.
Okay. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what your experiences are, so I don't want to put words in your mouth.
You're a detective?
Yes.
How long have you been? I mean, you must have patrolled the streets for some time before you became a detective. You
No, I worked the road for about 8 years. I've been a detective for about 10.
So you must have been attacked on many occasions.
Yes.
People who are in gangs, who listen to rap music. Are there people who listen to other types of music as well who target law enforcement? Am I law enforcement? I have this body language and mentality. Okay, I was raised by Sheriff Joe and not Sheriff Joe, himself,
right.
His influence. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, just trained me to be aware of my environment and always thinking, always aware. And I have been attacked for a long time by people that are in gangs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not in any gangs. I've never been in.
We can analyze this from two perspectives. If we approach it from Michael's point of view, it seems more accurate to describe his inquiry about Detective Matt's experience as a latent challenge, something that's not necessarily intended to confront, but to seek validation for his beliefs. On the other hand, to continue open communication, Detective Matt has to recognize the power dynamics at play. Responding with humility and openness can help maintain a constructive dialogue. But will it work?
It's very common for you to be manipulated, easily manipulated. If you understand this disorder, you understand that there's a social disorder, and sometimes people are, there are people who I've met, who I, have trusted, and it may have appeared as though I was their friends or something like that, but it was really just I was being misled, or I needed money, and so I, engaged in some kind of business transaction, and again, where other people may have understood that, danger was imminent, or that this person was not, a good person, I did not. Okay, all I know is I needed $20, and this person, expressed interest in buying my cell phone or my laptop or something like that, and so I would go and I started selling. I get robbed. I've been robbed. Okay, they've stolen from me, and it continues and it never ends. Okay, and so again, rather than reacting as a proactive approach, I predicted that this person would act comparable to the way that these other people acted. He displayed the same.
Okay, can you explain that to me? Like what he did to, you said like body language, stuff like that. So other than the music, can you explain what he did that made you feel that way? Like he was going, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, if I'm understanding what you're saying, and clarify if I didn't, based on his body language actions, you felt he might attack you, try to rob you based on like previous experiences? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
That's right.
So can you explain what he was doing that made you feel that way?
It was his choice of music.
Okay.
From someone facing mental challenges, navigating a world without adequate support and assistance can be extremely difficult. The desperation for money intertwines with the sense of vulnerability and a series of unfortunate events. The association of these bad memories with individuals who listen to rap music seems to have become a coping mechanism for him.
Okay. It was that you don't want no problems with me. Okay. I felt like that was his way of expressing himself. And it didn't make me feel safe around him.
Okay. Where was he at when you entered the store? Because I guess you guys went to the store. The guy was gonna buy you. It's my understanding that you were helping him fix a light outside, and then he was going to buy you a soda or something. You were helping him out. Do I have that right? The guy you were helping fix the light. I don't know what his name is.
What is your intentions? Okay.
I'm just trying to understand what happened. I'm a little confused as to what happened because there was no. It's my understanding that there was no argument. There was no problem with you and the guy. So I'm just trying to understand why. I'm trying to understand, Michael. I'm trying to understand what he did to make you feel threatened that caused you to be proactive and stab him. I'm just trying to understand that.
I don't understand what you don't understand. Okay, I mean, I've been very clear.
You have. Okay. There's nothing else. That's it. You just.
Yes.
So from my understanding, he was listening to rap music, and based on previous experiences, you felt he was the type of person that was a threat to you in society. So you took a proactive.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Okay. I understand. I don't, like I said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
That's my intention.
And again, this entire conversation was really nice because if you just review, the well, I guess we didn't get as in depth in this video of previous to this experience that we're having here.
Right. I don't know what happened before. I don't know. I know that you talked to Officer Henderson. I just don't know what the conversation was about. So I was just trying to understand. That's all.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Certain mental health conditions increase the possibility of paranoia. Plus, whether they want to or not, people facing stressful situations often seek a sense of control. By questioning the detective's intention, Michael may be attempting to assert some control over the interrogation process.
The knife that was in your pocket that you had on you, is that the weapon that you used? It's like a folding. I haven't seen it. It's like a folding pocket knife.
Yeah, I don't know your intentions. So, I mean, I guess I've already really said, everything that you would need to know to harm me.
I just want to understand your side of the story. That's what I'm trying to understand.
I've provided you with that data, and I mean, there's probably all the data that you need to know that already. You just want to know now versus later.
Well, yeah, I want to talk to you now because it just happened, so your memory's good.
Yeah. No, it's not because I'm very tired.
Okay. Because, like I said, from an outside perspective, it seemed like an unprovoked attack. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, his choice of music. Okay, it could possibly have been a direct form of communication with me personally. Couldn't it have been? So you don't want no problems because I'll tell you what. When I was at the gym, okay, the night before the Black Lives Matter movement, okay, these guys have been attacking me for a long time. Okay.
Trust me, I'm a police officer. I know what it means to be attacked.
Okay.
I understand that completely.
Michael was just released from prison 2 days ago. There's no doubt he has a history of trauma or negative encounters with authority figures from his initial run-ins with the law, his previous arrests, and even in prison.
Once again, it's just because it's a matter of, unfortunately, Michael, the way society is, the way the community is there's going to be people looking at this that are going to wonder why it happened. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get, like I said, the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because I wanted to get from you your words and your feelings as to why it happened. And I think we've established that. Okay. I don't mean to keep beating up on you. I'm just trying to let you understand why I wanted to have this conversation. Because, like I said, there's going to be other people looking at the situation and wanting to know why it happened, like what caused it to happen.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to try to explain that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? How do you feel about, basically stabbing the guy? Is it?
I feel like there are over 7 billion people on Earth. Okay. And in Earth we have good people who have sound moral values. Okay. Mm-hmm. And quite a lot of the people who do not live in America. Okay. And there are good people here too. Mm-hmm. Okay, but in these major metropolitan areas, there's a lot of shit, and I'm one of the very few white people, in the area, and I'm attacked often simply because I'm white by Native American people, okay, by Mexican gangs, by black gangs, and he was listening to music that was like these gangs. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it made me feel unsafe.
Okay. What was your intention when you stabbed him? I know you said you were trying to be proactive.
But what is anybody's intention when they stab somebody?
Well, in my mind, it's to kill someone. But I don't want to speak for you. I'm not in your mind. I don't know what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Okay.
So I'm asking you what your intention was. Like I said, there's going to be people looking at this, and I don't want to speak for you.
My intention was not to be killed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's statement about his intention not to be killed himself aligns with a survival anxiety.
I would call it self-defense. That's my perception.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking you, because I want it to be your perception and how you felt. I want it to be your words. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right. So the music made you feel threatened, and you took a proactive approach to stop yourself from
being hurt in the future, yes.
Right.
Because people are driving by me in cars, and they get out of their cars, and they throw rocks at me, or they try to hit me with bars and poles, or whatever. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like he might try to do something like that to me.
Okay. And like I said, that's your perception. I mean, no one, that's how you feel. No one can take that away from you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I said, just trying to understand. So, he had a couple of injuries on him. He had a wound back here and then his neck.
Yeah.
Did you do both of those?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna do. We're writing a search warrant right now because I'm gonna take your clothes. I'll give you some other stuff to wear, but we're gonna take your clothes and impound them as evidence. Okay.
Okay.
Michael, so you're aware, he is deceased. He did die.
Okay.
Okay.
Considering Michael's mental state, it's very hard to verify if he really had these experiences or if they were extreme hallucinations. In any case, it can explain why Michael had been labeling his attack on Elijah as self-defense. His seemingly indifferent response of okay upon learning about Elijah's death is the result of emotional detachment.
And I don't want to speak for you, but I assume that's what your intention was. So
my intention was not to die.
Right, you're right. I apologize. That's what like I said, I want it to be your words. So, but he did pass away. Okay.
Okay.
So, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do a search warrant to get your clothes and some stuff like that. So you're gonna have to kind of hang out for a little bit until we get that done. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
I mean, but again, I'm exhausted.
I understand that. So I'm going to go check on the warrant. I'll be back. If you have any questions, you don't have to ask me right now. You don't have to think about it right now, but just kind of hang tight here and I want to see where they're at on the search warrant. And then I can come back in a few minutes. And if you should happen to have a question, you can ask me then.
Okay.
Detective Matt has been polite all this while. This aligns with the need for empathy when dealing with individuals with mental health challenges. Simultaneously, he prioritized clarity to prevent misunderstandings. By steering clear of coercion or intimidation, Detective Matt has fostered an open environment conducive to effective communication. Patience is also crucial when dealing with individuals who may take longer to process and articulate their thoughts. Finally, Michael was charged with first-degree murder on July 11, 2019, but he was declared unfit to stand trial. The state had a 3-year window to restore his competency for the trial to proceed. After nearly 2 years in the custody of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Michael Paul Adams was discovered deceased in his cell on April 17, 2021. His apparent cause of death was passing in his sleep, and as of now, no other cause has been determined.
To make it dramatic.
DNA?
What do you mean, what type of DNA?
What type of DNA you guys have?
Oh, a buccal swab.
A buccal swab from my mouth?
Yeah.
And how are you going to get that?
Judge will order it with a search warrant.
Meet 19-year-old Kenneth Thomas, an underrated genius that deserves his due fame. With a defense as genuine as a $3 bill, one suspect has made up his mind that he can outsmart the detective with his intelligence. Spoiler alert, it's not going to end well for our would-be genius. But first, let's understand the context of the case better. On January 13, 2015, the Milwaukee Police Department was informed about a fatal shooting of a gas station clerk that very night. The victim, 65-year-old Saeed Sharwani, a father of 4, was a Citgo station clerk who dialed 911 to report a robbery in the store, but all he could manage to say was, why?
City 911, what's the address of your emergency? Hello? Hello?
Kenneth Thomas, 19, was taken into custody in West Allis less than 10 hours after the robbery and homicide at the Citgo gas station on White Rock Avenue.
Okay.
So who all was drunk here? Just me?
You said you're on paper, right?
Yeah.
So you've been around the block.
Yeah.
You know how things
What
work.
you mean around the block?
Dealt with the cops before.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I told the truth though. That's why I'm on papers.
Right.
Like if I wouldn't ever said nothing, I could be at home all off of probation, just chilling. But no, I helped the police get the guys who it was, and not all everything on me.
So what happened to those guys?
They did their time.
Okay.
Got out, tried to retaliate.
Okay, but they did time?
Yeah.
You didn't get time?
Yeah. I did like 45 days and 3 years on paper. That was the plea.
45 days in the house?
Yeah, house of correction.
Oh, that's nothing. What those guys have to do?
Shit, it was.
Was that bad?
I'm not used to being away from home from my mom.
I understand that. What did the other guys end up doing?
I really don't. I don't remember. I know they had some kind of like a couple years though.
Okay.
See, it was the case was more about it was a burglary, stolen property,
okay,
and driving without owner's consent. See, I didn't have nothing to do with the burglary or none of that. I just, I had got the car and my fingerprints was in it, so I told them how I got the car.
Okay. Part of the evidence that they found was that gun, those bullets, some clothes. Okay. They also found other items in there, like a mask, a green mask.
Yeah.
Okay. Where'd that green mask come from?
I couldn't tell you where the fuck no green mask came from. Like I said, man, them guys, man, they came back there that night, man. They was rowdy up, man. They was really, like you could tell, like, when somebody done did something or something. I knew they did something. I just don't know what they did, though.
Okay.
They came back. I got high, man. I got high and fell asleep, man.
Well, now that we've been talking, what do you think they did out here in Waukesha?
Man, they did a mask, a gun, they robbed somebody, man. They robbed somebody, probably came back and threw the evidence off on us, man.
Okay. That's what you think happened?
Yeah, because if they not caught, if they didn't get, caught, where they gone. You know what I mean? They gone.
Right.
So they out and about still having fun while somebody else going down for the shit they did.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened.
Okay.
As the interrogation begins, Kenneth's demeanor reveals a fascinating psychological dynamic. His inquiries about other suspects lack finesse, appearing as a rather transparent attempt to assess the severity of his situation. Despite facing past charges of burglaries and theft, Kenneth vehemently denies any involvement, displaying a level of denial similar to a child caught red-handed stealing from a cookie jar. Furthermore, despite a substantial body of evidence pointing to his guilt, Kenneth remains steadfast in his denial. His refusal to acknowledge the overwhelming proof against him just makes his guilt more obvious to the detectives.
You said the evidence that what?
The evidence and the information that we learned from everybody we talked to shows that you were in on that robbery in Waukesha.
Yeah, how was I in on it?
How was you in on it?
Yeah, you got my prints. You got my prints, my face on camera?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
I'd like to see all that.
Huh? Well, I don't have it with me right now, obviously. Okay.
All right. Why you don't have it with you, though? Let's check this out.
Okay.
If that was me, why wouldn't you have all the evidence pointing out in front of us?
You want to see all the surveillance video right now? Obviously, we don't have one in the room.
Surveillance with my face direct on it.
Yes, we do. We have that.
No, yeah?
Yeah.
So why you didn't show me pictures? Why you didn't show me pictures like this is you on this?
Pictures?
Yeah.
This is the gun at your house. Okay. This is the gun in the diaper box. The shoes that you were wearing. This is the mask that you were wearing. Okay. There's several hundred photographs. I didn't get them all. I thought you'd be bored with lots of photographs. Okay. Where'd your pajamas go? Pajamas you were wearing that night. I had a picture of that too.
Yeah.
Well, it's on inventory. There you are, jump on the counter, wearing the pajamas, the shoes, with the gun, and the mask. Okay?
Okay, so where's it still? You're not telling me. Those Kenneth.
Kenneth, listen to me.
Yeah, I'm listening.
The problem is that you don't know where all the cameras are.
Yeah.
And you're wearing these same clothes on different cameras Problem is, you didn't have your mask on at that time.
Right. So where are those fellas?
Where are these fellas? No.
No, I'm saying...
This guy's sitting right in
Hold
front of...
on. I'm saying, where's the photos you said that I'm on camera wearing these clothes?
That's on a video.
On the
That's
video?
on a video DVD.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's amazing to watch how detectives keep their calm and patience when dealing with suspects like Kenneth. It requires years of experience to master this skill. As Kenneth continues to deny his involvement in the shooting and burglary with his last 2 brain cells, the detectives keep up with their attempts to elicit a confession and use different tactics every few minutes. Even after showing Kenneth physical evidence directly linking him to the shooting that was found in his own house, Kenneth shamelessly denies his involvement and believes that a pair of gloves and his face mask can save him from being caught. Thus, the detective uses a moral dilemma to persuade Kenneth to spill the truth. This tactic aims to pressure the suspect into making a confession or revealing information by appealing to their internal sense of right and wrong.
So what else been going on?
Robberies in Milwaukee, robberies in West Dallas, robberies in Brookfield.
So you got all the guys, huh?
No, not quite all of them.
Hold on, look at my background. Look what the position I'm in. Do you think I'll be involved in some robberies?
I don't know.
Come on,
all kinds of people do different things when they get desperate.
Be real.
When they need to survive.
We need
to understand.
Listen, you ain't got my fingerprints, man. You don't got my face.
Okay.
You don't got my face. Because if you did, it wasn't nothing to be to talk about, right?
There is something very important to talk about, Kenneth.
What, the story, how it happened? That's what you want, a story.
I want to find out whether what you did was intentional or an accident.
How does that mean?
I know it's you. The evidence knows it's you.
How does it mean?
The witnesses know it's you.
What witnesses?
Okay, so now we have to determine in that gas station, when the gun went off, was that something you wanted to do? Or that was something accidental?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
That's what we need to determine.
I really don't know what you're talking about. If that was me, how did I get out there? How did I get back? I need to see all this. I need to see everything.
You'll eventually see it.
Listen, you got to have everything to add up to me.
We do.
So you would know then if you did.
What do you mean I would know? I already know. I told you I already know what happened. The only thing I need to know is when you pulled the trigger, was it on accident? Or was it on purpose?
I didn't shoot any trigger.
That's the only question we have here.
I just told you your question. I didn't shoot anybody. I wasn't there at the scene. Those guys that you got, they put them items there. Shit, what the hell was I know? You guys may put the items there.
How many times did you give those guys bullets?
Once.
And that was that night?
Yeah.
Okay. Big problem. When you go robbing places, and you start shooting guns off, at the liquor store, at the gas station, all those bullets match. Like CSI.
They may got them from some elsewhere.
They all match the bullets you gave them.
Oh, my fingerprints on them?
But the problem is, if you only gave them the night before, then you must have had that gun at those other robberies shooting off.
You saying that because they got more ammo, right? It's not hard to go get ammo from any other place, a store or...
It's the exact same ammo with the exact same markings. They're just like fingerprints.
In a rare moment during their discussion of potential consequences, Kenneth refrains from snapping back at the detective, hinting at the detective's success in rattling him. Yet, true to form, Kenneth swiftly regains his confidence, or perhaps overconfidence to be more accurate.
The robbery at the Brookfield 7-Eleven.
Brookfield 7-Eleven.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads back to me too?
Well, yeah, you know where that's at.
I don't.
It's just down the street from the hotel that you and Shikendra were arrested for when Shikendra got arrested for escort violation in Waukesha.
I thought you said Brookfield.
Brookfield is right next door. It's right across the road.
You said Waukesha, Brookfield. Which one is going to be?
The 7-Eleven is right across the road.
From what? Brookfield or Waukesha?
The hotel that you and Shakender got arrested for in 2013.
Where was it? Brookfield or Waukesha? You said...
The hotel was in Waukesha.
Okay.
And across the street is Brookfield.
Oh, across the street is Brookfield.
Yeah. That's how the cities are. They're that close together.
And when was this?
When you got arrested, or Shakir got the escort violation? I think that was back in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. 7-Eleven that was robbed was just on the block.
Yeah.
In Brookfield.
I didn't have nothing to do with that.
It matches up to the gun in your bullets.
It's all type of guns out here.
They all match up. It's like fingerprints.
Yeah, like they match up like fingerprints.
Right.
So,
That means the only gun it could come from and the only bullets it could come from are your bullets and your gun.
No,
That's how it works, just like CSI.
Listen. There's other guns out here just like that.
They can match them up just like a fingerprint. Every gun makes a unique mark.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's Dario shit, man, and his people, man.
That's Dario shit?
Yeah, well, the guy you said, what that's his name is, Dario?
No, it all matches up.
Is that Dario, the guy you just told me?
Darren, yeah, that's Bay.
Yeah,
they call him Bay.
Yeah, Bay.
Yeah, you know him as Bay.
No, I don't. Actually, he never told us his name.
Mm-hmm.
They say folk, they from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So they use their slang, you know. They never came down here. Yeah, listen, that's all they shit, man. That's the guy, you got your guys. You want me to be one of your guys for some shit that I ain't did. Come on now, man. The photo you showed me, dude, he was stocky, man. He was big. The photo you just showed me?
The coat? Yeah, because it's a big coat.
Oh, it's a big coat.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a big guy, man.
Oh, here, I'll show you the difference. So, where's that photo? There's you, and there's Bay in the background.
Mm.
Bay's a lot taller than you.
He's big.
Oh, he's not big, he's a skinny little guy.
He's big.
Skinny little guy wearing that Celtics hat you have,
Yeah.
and those pajama pants you have, and your green mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ain't none of my shit. They put that there back to what I
Hey,
was saying.
yeah, yours. You're on surveillance video without your mask, wearing the same clothes.
All right. So, do what you have to do. Back to what I was saying. If that's me, and you know for sure that's me,
I do, yes.
do what you have to do.
What do you think I have to do?
Whatever is your job.
Okay, my job is to get the truth
Well, obviously you
and find out the reasons why it's happened.
think it's not the truth, so what's that telling you?
Well, I have the truth from everybody else.
Yeah, you full of bullshit, man.
Well, why would I be talking to you about this right now?
You would have to show. Listen, if you got statements about what other people said, let me see the papers. I can see those.
In court, you get to see them, yes.
No, I get to see them here.
No, that's not how it works, Kenneth.
Yeah, listen, I've been through this over and over.
And I've been through this over and over.
You gotta say someone said this, you would be like, here goes the statement right here.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't showed me no paper. But some images of a guy with a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're trying to say that that I was on surveillance before this with those same clothes on without a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Funny guy.
There's cameras everywhere.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm on one now.
Exactly. They record everything.
Listen.
People
back to what I was saying. Back to what I was saying. Show me everybody pointed me out, saying it was me.
That's going to change the difference as to whether you shot that guy intentionally or not?
I don't know what you're talking about. You keep saying I shot a guy. I don't even know what the. Well, if I so-called shot this guy, you don't even have that's not enough evidence, man. You just got some put there. My DNA not on none of that.
Well, we'll find that out, won't we?
Yeah, we will. We will find that out. You need my DNA to get it.
No.
Yeah. Unless you got prints, you don't got got those.
We don't need prints either.
You need prints.
We got everything else.
No, you don't.
DNA and prints are icing on the cake. That's where Hollywood comes in. That's where all that drama on the Hollywood TV that you see, they have all that stuff to make it dramatic.
What type of DNA?
What do you mean, what type of DNA?
What type of DNA you guys have? What need?
What do you mean, what
you
type?
Just said
everybody has unique DNA.
Okay. So, in order to know that's my DNA, you have to have something of my DNA.
Yeah, we'll get it from you.
Yeah, how you gonna do that? Voluntary or a forced?
Oh, we got a search warrant.
So that's not, you're not understanding.
Right.
DNA. What type of DNA you guys need?
Oh, a buccal swab.
A buccal swab from my mouth?
Yeah.
And how are you gonna get that?
Judge will order it with a search warrant.
Yeah. Out my mouth?
Yeah.
A search warrant to get DNA out my mouth. How does that sound?
What do you mean, how does it sound? We do it every day.
Yeah, okay. Well, hey, listen. Man, it was nice. It was a pleasure meeting you, man. You got your guys, but you don't get me. I'm not one of them. I'm most definitely not one of them. So, listen.
The evidence shows differently, Kenneth. I'm just trying to figure out why.
Yeah. The evidence shows differently?
Yeah.
Oh, so be it. That's all. If that's me, listen. Go ahead, throw the book at me, do what you gotta do.
So it comes down to this. Based on the evidence we have,
you ain't charged with that. That's not mine.
The charging will come from the DA's office. The charging is coming from the DA's office based on the evidence they get. I'm the one that sends them the evidence.
Yeah, you send them my statement too, right?
Right.
So why you haven't wrote down what I said?
Because it's all being recorded. I don't have to write anything down.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So this should be on recorder. That's not me on them photos.
Okay.
Those evidence was planted in my house by the guys who did it. You got your guys.
Okay.
What
about the other evidence that shows you are? You want surveillance video.
Okay, if you got that, why are you talking to me?
Because I need to know whether you shot that man intentionally or whether it was an accident.
I haven't shot anybody.
As he casually sips water from the bottle, this guy has the audacity to argue with the detective, suggesting they probably can't extract his DNA. However, when confronted with the reality of the search warrant, Kenneth's reaction exposes his genius as a facade. Recognizing his blatant ignorance, the detective seizes control, refusing to let Kenneth dictate the power dynamics in the interrogation. It's a prime illustration of how power plays out in the interrogation room, especially when dealing with someone like Kenneth Thomas. But Kenneth isn't done yet. There's more.
Actually, I think I have a doctor's appointment. Yeah, Jim. I haven't shot anybody, man.
You have a doctor's appointment? What does that have to do with anything?
It don't have nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
Just remember that. Listen, that ain't me. None of that's me, man. I ain't did nothing. I'm innocent. Until proven guilty.
Okay, well, the evidence we have will prove you guilty.
No, they're not my
evidence. The difference is, are you going to be proven guilty of intentional homicide or just regular manslaughter?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't killed anyone. I never picked up a gun in a day of my life. So.
You never picked up a gun?
In a day of my life. Never.
Not even your mama's gun?
Nope, I just got her bullets.
Yeah.
And gave it to those guys who did the job. The ones you saw half here. Big guys.
So then what you're telling me is that you provided bullets to two guys who did a robbery, killed a man.
Actually, I didn't provide the bullets. They were like, how should I put this? I didn't need them. Why would I have bullets?
You said you got them out of your mother's bag and gave it to him when he asked for them.
I know. What happened was, see, I'm on medication, right?
What medication are you on, Kenneth?
I'm on Ritalin and all these other medications, right? So my is all up here. Okay. So right now, guess what?
What's that?
I don't even know what's going on.
You don't?
You know what I mean? I think you trying to get me to say stuff that I ain't do. You know what I mean? I ain't did none of that. What you could give me on some bullets?
Providing the ammunition that killed the man? Yeah, it's party to the crime of homicide. You might as well have pulled the trigger.
Oh, no. See, what happened was...
Harboring the man who killed the man?
Listen, what happened...
That's also party to the crime of homicide.
Listen, no, all you could give me for it is lying. Those bullets, I don't know where they come from.
Kenneth.
Listen, check this out. Listen,
man to man, you've been around, right?
Listen, I'm on medication to function. I can't function right.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
I'm on Ritalin and all these other good medicines. I watch a lot of CSI and First 48 and all that good stuff. So I know.
What do you like about those shows?
I don't like the shows at all.
Why do you watch them then?
To see how you guys work.
Okay. But you know that's TV.
Yeah.
Like CSI.
That's real. That's real though.
CSI, you know how fast they solve a crime in CSI?
How fast?
In 60 minutes. That's how long the show is.
Yeah, that's real.
You've been around. You've been dealing with the cops a long time, right?
Not that long. Started to get in trouble about a year or two ago.
But you know how it works.
Nah, not really.
Not really?
Not really.
Okay.
I think you pressuring me.
How am I pressuring?
You pressuring me to say I did something I didn't do.
I already know you did it. I'm just trying to understand why you did it.
You know, you're not going to know why I did it because I didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just when you think there's nothing left for this guy to surprise you with, Kenneth effortlessly proves everyone wrong. Amidst his relentless defense, Kenneth abruptly shifts tactics, claiming he has mental health issues and is on medication. He suggests the detective is unfairly pressuring him towards a false confession and questions why he's even in the interrogation room when everything is being recorded. Completely oblivious to legal procedures, Kenneth only digs a deeper hole for himself.
Just get to the point.
The point is you got a chance here.
I don't have a chance.
Yes, you do. You got a decision. You got a decision as to whether or not you're going to face life or you're going to face a maximum of 20 years.
A maximum of 20 years.
Right. That means it could be less. Life is life. You can't undo that.
Man, when I get out, man, listen, when I get out, my granny will be dead. My uncle probably be dead, my other uncle. No telling what's going to happen to my mom. She's already sick.
Okay. But how would they react to you having to spend the rest of your life?
You're not getting me. In the next 20 years, that will be the rest of my life. I'll be 40 when I get out.
Don't you think they want you at 40 to still have a life?
I won't have a life.
Why do you say that? Why don't you think you won't have a life?
I won't be. We both know that. You know, what type of life, what job can I get?
In 20 years, things may completely change.
Let's get out of here.
You know Jerica?
What?
Jerica? You know her?
Who was that?
The girl that drove you guys? The girl you guys walked out of the apartment with? The girl that came back with you guys back to the apartment? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Kenneth, we want to give you an opportunity here.
I know. Come on, man, stop. You just making things worse, man.
Trying to help you understand. It's a big difference whether this was intentionally or an accident. That's a big
You know the
difference.
best thing in life to have?
What's that?
Or to happen? Death. Let me tell you why death is the best thing. Because there's no more suffering.
In this pivotal moment of the interrogation, the detective unveils one of his ace cards. Jerica Cottons, questioned prior to Kenneth, had already come clean about her role as a getaway driver for Kenneth and Darren from the Citgo gas station where the shootout ensued. The detective drops a bombshell, referring to footage capturing the trio's return to Kenneth's residence following the burglary and shootout on the same day. With little wiggle room left, Kenneth succumbs and eventually spills the beans. On May 4th, 2016, Kenneth entered a guilty plea to charges of felony murder and armed robbery that took place at a Citgo gas station in Waukesha in February 2015. As a repeat offender, he struck a deal that involved testifying against 29-year-old Darren Malone. The Waukesha County judge imposed a 45-year sentence on Kenneth, comprising 35 years for the second-degree murder of Saeed Sharwani and 10 years for a string of armed robberies. Additionally, he received a further 20 years of extended supervision in connection to the fatal shooting.
Well, I've been sitting with this for years, and it's written on my file, and it makes me seem like, oh, he's just this crazy. You guys love doing that. I'm this crazy psychopathic liar.
The man you just saw was Paul Bernardo, one of the world's most infamous serial killers that reigned pure horror in the hearts of Canadians. He attacked his victims while his wife, Karla Homolka, helped him lure, torture, and record those victims. His attacks began in May 1987, which resulted in him assaulting over 19 victims, all between the ages of 15 to 21 years. He also managed to viciously murder 3 schoolgirls, Tammy Homolka, Leslie Mahaffey, and Kristen French. While Paul was serving indeterminate life sentences for his crimes, he confessed to another 10 counts of assault during the 1980s to his lawyer Anthony Bryant, one of which was a possible lead on today's victim's case, Elizabeth Bain. In 2004, appeal and retrial motions were underway for a man named Robert Baltovich, who was convicted for the 1990 murder of his girlfriend Elizabeth Bain. But during his original trial, the lawyer had suggested that the Scarborough rapist was responsible for it. There was a series of violent sexual assaults that were committed by Paul Bernardo near the area where Elizabeth lived. This made him a prime suspect, as Elizabeth was certainly someone who fit Paul's MO. Watch with us as we decipher the psychopathy of one of the most notorious serial killers.
Just a little bit of background about the first time we met back last year in April of 2006. That was in regards to a letter that you had sent through the Attorney General's office. It filtered down to my office in regards to some admissions that you made about some sexual assaults that you had committed. I'm here to tell you that I have concluded that investigation, and that there have been 2 offenses that I have been able to identify, and with the information that you provided to me at that time, was able to conclude those matters as having been committed by yourself. So for that, I thank you for that information. And
Sorry, you've identified
the offense.
No,
No. I've identified the offense that you were talking about, and based on that information, I was able to conclude those cases that actually provided enough information that I was satisfied that you were the person that committed those offenses.
Okay, now what
Does that
about,
make sense?
Does that make sense? What about ones that you thought that I came forward with and maybe thought that I didn't do it? Was there any of those?
There was none that I thought that you didn't do. There was some that I didn't have enough information to either identify the offense because you were unable to provide enough details at that time, or they may not have ever been reported to the police. As you said when we spoke, some of them were, we'll call them minor type offenses, but
No, I understand.
offenses that may not have been reported to the police.
Okay, problem. I turned on the TV, I waited for Peel Regional to come by. September rolls around, they make a public announcement. It's written on my file here that I lied to police and I did not commit the crimes that I said I committed on the offenses in Peel Regional.
Here we will walk you through different traits of a clinical psychopath and why Paul Bernardo is the textbook example of it. The first trait is narcissism. Nothing bothers him more than being called a liar. A very common thing for serial killers is wanting to claim their victims, even if it means a longer sentence. He soaks in the vanity he gets from his heinous act.
They have told me that they don't have enough information at this point to identify anything that you've, the letter that was sent to the police, through to the police, wasn't specific enough to identify any offenses. Now that's something that we can talk about sort of following this interview, and if you want to get into that, we can talk about that.
Well, I've been sitting with this for years, and it's written on my file, and it makes me seem like, oh, he's just this crazy. You guys love doing that. I'm this crazy psychopathic liar. Why was that statement issued? Why didn't they come in and talk to me if they didn't have enough information? We were waiting on that tape. You can play that tape back. I asked you guys if Peel Regional going to come in. I sat there month after month after month. No one came. I turned on the TV in September, declared that Paul Bernardo was, this crazy liar to police. What's the fundamental problem here?
Well,
I know. I mean, justice the Canadian way, and no one comes in, and now you guys are saying that you didn't have enough information.
Well, I can't answer for them specifically as to what they did or didn't do.
The first thing Paul does is establish his dominance in the interrogation. He shows another psychopathic trait of boldness. He expresses his disagreement with the agent when he does not hear an answer that suits him, and he completely disregards him by not looking at him when he's speaking. He's not afraid of the consequences of his words or actions and challenges the authority of Detective Hoover. From this point, Paul will completely take over the conversation. This conversation mimics a boss having a meeting with his employees rather than a suspect with his interrogators.
That statement you're giving me is much different from the public statement they said, which said I was a liar.
Okay, well, I don't.
There's night and day, and they didn't come in. If they didn't have enough information, why don't you come in and get the information?
Absolutely.
I mean, either I'm lying or I'm not lying. And this goes to the crux of this argument. Either I'm a liar to you, I'm going to lie to you right now about everything, like I did to Peel Regional, according to their story, or I'm not. And, I'm not going to sit here, come voluntarily and have people come. You guys ban me from the press. You roll your stories over, and you constantly say that I'm a liar. I'm a liar. I made mistakes 17 years ago. Okay, fine, I did.
Another trait of Paul's evaluation showed that he is a pathological liar. It's truly ironic that he claims to be anything but a liar. Paul is the authority on minimizing his heinous crimes to look like mere mistakes. And you may think that labeling his misdeeds as a mistake is still remorse of some form, but with the appropriate context, the meaning of this statement changes entirely.
But when you go to a certain point of lying, it affects me totally. I made mistakes a long time ago. But don't say that today about me, because then we're lying, and then we got a big problem because I'm looking at you and you're the bad guys. Because I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm telling the truth, and you guys are walking around issuing statements that I lied here, I lied there.
Paul shows yet another trait of his psychopathic profile. He seems truly antisocial to the core. He does not hesitate to call his actions a mistake when talking about lying to the police back in 1990, but demanding to not be called a liar now lest his reputation be damaged, playing off his crimes as something normal and matter of fact.
I have some questions that were given to me to ask you in relation to the Balkovich matter, Robert Balkovich matter. Before we do that, I just want to say, you understand obviously the importance of telling the truth and the consequences potentially of someone who lies to the police and not telling the truth.
I think we just covered that. Actually, I was referring, you guys tell the truth.
Right.
Agent Hoover has made a terrible mistake here by saying that Paul needs to understand the importance of telling the truth. Paul overstates his reaction with a bewildering laugh to express the absurdity of this claim.
Okay, so we're aware of that. And in this matter, I believe that you've had some conversation with your counsel in regards to it. And
you'll notice that Paul is desperate for any kind of reaction from Constable Koulis now. Every time he thinks he's outsmarting the agent or being funny, he'll look at her for validation. However, he's stopped getting any reactions from her. The disappointment from this is abundantly evident from his expressions. Imagine being a woman in the same room as a gruesome rapist and a murderer. The worst part for the detective is that he's trying to charm her like he may have done with his victims in the past. The detective may be well trained to deal with such criminals, but his smile alone is enough to send chills down the spine, especially for a woman.
My part of this investigation is limited to what we're saying here today. So the details of all of what other witnesses may or may not have been asked or done, I don't know. And as a potential witness, I'm not allowed to tell you what other people have done. So that I have to sort of be careful about the way that it's answered, or even what you think my answer might be.
Yeah, no, I just wanted for the record that I gave you good information, which you guys could have, independent of me, could have verified my story or not. Right. And whether you guys do or do not is your business. Like I said, I'm not a prosecutor. Right. I'm not here to point the finger at anyone. But I showed you where to go. So if you guys don't do that, it's your business. But, to me, it's like, if you didn't, why didn't you? If you want to know the truth about things.
Right.
It's easy to lose perspective of the reason behind this interrogation. At face value, or from the information extracted here, you may think this has been done to revive the image of Paul. But the focus was the victim, Elizabeth Bain. But somehow, Paul has again taken over the conversation and made it about himself.
So I understand. And I understand what you're saying. So what we're here to talk about today, obviously know that this statement may be used in court or maybe presented to court as a voluntary statement.
Yeah.
Okay. A polygraph obviously is not something that's court admissible. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that or not, but
Yeah,
it's not used in open court. Okay. So the crux of what we're here to talk about is that it has been suggested that in the continuing case of the disappearance of Elizabeth Bain and the charge of murder against Robert Baltovich, that you are the alternative suspect, or an alternative suspect. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, great.
You'll notice that each time Detective Hoover brings up other witnesses, Paul will immediately cut him off in order to bring focus back to himself. Another common trait of psychopaths that is also clearly visible in Paul is lack of empathy. It's a possibility that he has only added Elizabeth Bain's name to the list of his victims to gain publicity. However, such cold reactions in the context of a dead innocent girl is hardly normal.
Did you kill Elizabeth Bain on June the 19th, 1990?
Well, it's a loaded question. I mean, are we going to go back and go through the time sequence of what happened in my life? I mean, I could just give a yes or no answer, but there's a lot of issues about that. Carlos and my role, who did what, where, when. This is why I said, did you guys, go down there to get a polygraph to see if she was telling the truth? Like, why didn't Bevan do it in the first place? I mean, he's polygraphing everyone with a Camaro. Why would he make a deal with someone and not give them a polygraph? It's not incomprehensible to me. Because now my file says her version, and it's a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not making frivolous points here. I mean, and now you're asking me after you said Peel Regional said I'm lying about this, and then you're saying I'm lying about my profile. You're saying I'm lying if I'm better or not. Now you're saying, hey, did you kill this person? I mean, well, you're saying I'm lying here, here, and here. I could say no, I didn't, but. I mean, you already said I'm lying here with the Peel. You're saying
okay. I'm not saying anything about who's lying. I'm simply
and I've given you directions to go to find the truth.
Right.
No one's done that.
And I've asked.
It's obvious that Paul has only one thing in mind, and that is to reestablish his image as an honest and upstanding criminal. When asked directly yes or no questions, he avoids them using semantics, because that way he can drag out the interrogation. This gives him the chance to talk up his character even more. But fortunately, none of these tactics are going unnoticed. Constable Koulis draws in circular motion on the table while speaking to the counselor on the other end. She's indicating how Paul is going in circles, in an unending loop of the regional news coverage calling him a liar.
And again, I've told you that I've done investigations on information that you've told me, and as a result of that information, I've been able to verify in my mind where you told me the truth. So if Peel Region is lying about you or someone else is lying about you, I have no control over that. Or no,
it goes right to credibility.
Well, absolutely it does, and that's, I guess, the easy way then is to, if we can go through, we'll answer the questions. And yes, I hope to be able to go through some timeline to identify where you were, what you were doing specifically in relation to this case.
Anyways, I know I'm giving you guys a hard time being argumentative about certain things, but I mean, really, I'm a human being, and when you guys do all these things, I've got to. Anyways, I'll try and truncate it a little bit more. But anyways, the answer to that is no. But the 800-pound gorilla in the room that's a life 25 sentence. It really comes down to credibility, right. And not only credibility, but then again, timeline. I mean, between what Carlos and my roles were respectively, and this and that. The answer is no to that question.
Okay.
The question that was called loaded has finally been answered. He's denied killing Elizabeth. This shows how his sole purpose was to manipulate the interrogation in a way that he's able to make the most of the footage that he's allowed to get through this. Fortunately, the people watching this interrogation, such as yourself, are also able to see through Paul's schemings.
Did you have anything to do with her disappearance?
No.
Did you know Elizabeth Bain?
Not that I know of.
Had you ever met her?
I'm going to answer that with I don't remember, because if I did or I didn't, I don't remember. But I know an ex-girlfriend. I tried to say I might have, but I guess I don't remember.
You obviously are aware of her disappearance.
Sort of.
Okay. Do you recall when you became aware of this?
Best I can recollect is afterwards. Didn't follow me as much.
The date, obviously, June the 19th, 1990 was the
But
date.
other than that, I don't remember. Maybe I heard about it before, but I can't recall if I did or not. But I remember in jail, newspapers after that fact. That's not something I'm missing.
Okay. We'll sort of get into that a little bit when we. I hope to go through a bit of a timeline with you as to some things that may jog your memory as to
We're talking.
back in that time. I mean, if you asked me what I was doing 3 weeks ago on Tuesday, I probably couldn't tell you unless you put some reference to it. So we'll hopefully be able to do that. And again, obviously, June the 19th, 1990, do you know what you were doing that day?
I don't know.
I have a document here in front of me that references some points in time around the June of 1990 period from police investigation. This is what indicates you may have been involved with, or may have certain things that you may have done. And I'd like to go through a couple of them that sort of assist you in remembering what you were doing back in 1990. The first part of June 1990, actually June the 1st, Carla had a doctor's appointment where she was complaining of pains in her right side. Perhaps she had something to do with a rabies shot. Does that ring any bells?
No.
In the first part of June, you had a Nissan 240 SX, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You were making several trips into the United States, June 2nd, June 3rd, June 10th, June 16th. I think at that point you were involved with cigarette smuggling and things like that, from what I recall. Someone said no?
No, that would be. No, that wasn't until after we moved in. So.
Okay. So, making several trips to the States within a couple of days, is that something?
When we started the relationship, we were going over all the time, so just for personal reasons.
Okay. On June the 16th, you shopped at Rough Hewen. That's in the Niagara Falls, United States. Does that store sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it sounds familiar. I have no idea if those are the dates, but
okay.
If you got a receipt for it.
I think there must be a receipt there. And again, I don't have all the details. I'm just going by what's on the sheet of paper. A black expandable binder. Is that?
I think. Can't recall 100%, but.
Okay. That would have been around the same time. That was about a week prior to if you purchased one of those Elizabeth Bain binders.
I have no idea when I purchased it. I just recall I had something like that, like an accordion binder.
Okay.
There is truly nothing that Paul hates than being called a liar. Right now, Agent Hoover is asking him questions about the facts that have already been established in the court. He's doing this to establish a timeline. Paul gives direct answers here as he understands that he will be labeled as a liar if his answers differ now. But if fact remains that for a suspect as manipulative as Paul, Agent Hoover may not have been the best choice. He seems less confident while presenting the facts. It's known that Canadian law officers are always respectful to the humanitarian treatment of all suspects. However, such humanitarian treatment may just be what individuals like Paul preys upon.
June the 16th, again, this has been the same day in St. Catharines, you attended a movie, Back to the Future 3. Do you recall when that movie came out? No? Okay. There's a receipt for a cell phone purchased at a Radio Shack at the Town and Country Mall at 6366 Yonge Street. Do you remember buying a cell phone?
I know I bought a cell phone around that time because when I declared bankruptcy, I handed my other one in. And then I bought the Radio Shack. I don't know the dates.
Okay.
Whatever
That would have been the day after Elizabeth Bain went missing. Do you remember anything you were involved with around that time? You said you were going bankrupt, so what type of activity you were involved in sort of on a day-to-day basis?
The only thing I remember with bankruptcy is that happened around a couple days before the sexual assault that the composite came up with. That was, if I recollect correctly, it was I think 2 days before I filed for that. But I couldn't even tell you that date. I just know it was sometime in What date did you say that was? June the
16th of 1990.
When was that sexual assault? The one with the cops? Was it 24th, 20th? What date did you guys have?
A known fact about Paul is that he acted on his impulses a lot. This is also strongly implied in his psychoanalytic profiling. However, he's spent more than a decade in a correctional facility, and he has had ample time to look back on his crimes, but he still shows lack of remorse. His feelings towards his victims have not changed over time.
There was a sexual assault in May of 1990.
Is that the Thompson one in May?
I'm thinking that it is, but it doesn't say that specifically here. But shortly after that,
My timeline's off.
At the end of June of 1990, that was the original, when someone identified you potentially as a Scarborough rapist, a bank.
When was that? The end of?
That was June the 28th of 1990. Lori Homolka's 19th birthday was June the 22nd, 1990. Do you recall her 19th birthday?
I know it was around that time, but I don't specifically call that birthday.
The only reason that would maybe significant is she was obviously then a legal drinking agent, perhaps. Drinking anything?
Way before that.
June the 21st, so just the day after you bought the cell phone, you made a purchase at
I'm sorry, you were saying what, 19th was this girl's?
June 19th was the day she went missing.
What day did I buy that?
June 20th was the day you bought the cell phone. June 21st.
See, I must have declared bankruptcy around then because I got that cell phone in the hand, but I had to hand all my items in to the trustee, and I had a Panasonic cell phone, and I handed that in, and I got the Radio Shack one. So it would have been right around the same time. I don't think I went a month without it. I don't think so. I might have, but anyways, I don't know. It was a while ago, so memory's a bit fuzzy.
Yeah. May the 29th, which was just before that, or about a month before that, that was the day that the police released the cops.
Oh, so it was May. So I lost a month.
Yeah, so that was...
See what happens when you lock a guy up for 15 years and window and stuff. The memory gets fuzzy. So I guess I waited a month to get the cell phone.
About a month to get the cell phone. Did you recall anything? What were you doing during that month? Anything?
Probably the same thing as they're going across the border for the recreational stuff. I know Tammy happened in July. That was, I think, the third week in July for the first time. But this was back a few weeks before.
Okay.
Perhaps one of the most disgusting crimes committed by Paul were to his wife's younger sister, Tammy Homolka. Paul was unsatisfied with Carla because she was not a virgin when they started dating. So the only way for Carla to make it up, according to Paul, was sacrificing her virgin sister to him. They invited Tammy to spend some time with them at Carla's parents' home and doused her with alcohol. The couple used halothane on Tammy, which is an inhalation anesthetic. After that, Paul put the rag to her mouth, then assaulted her and videotaped this. But halothane mixed with alcohol proved to be fatal. They cleaned up the scene together and then called 911. Tammy was only 15 years old.
Do you ever recall having any conversations about the disappearance of Elizabeth Bain?
No.
If I played you it's going to play you a short audio clip. It's a conversation that you had, or a conversation between Tony Ward, who was an investigator with the Toronto Police, and Carla Homolka. I'm just going to play this, see if this sounds familiar or if it jogs your memory as to any conversation you may have had.
Was there any discussion, or has there been any discussion ever about Bain's disappearance?
I think the only thing that he ever said about her was that her boyfriend did it or something like that. But there wasn't any real extensive discussion. But he talked about like all of the women that were disappearing.
And again, that was a conversation between investigator Tony Moore with the Toronto Police Service and Carla Homolka. Does that conversation, is that something you may recall saying that to Carla or talking about that?
Well, you know, she went down, Paul did it. Catchphrase was a trial, Paul did it. It was Paul. And she's continuing right there. She's going, you know, with that. The fact of the matter is I didn't pay attention to anything. I didn't watch the news back then. I was too busy doing other things. I didn't pay attention. Like the profile is a serial killer, pays attention to all the news media. This is narcissistic personality, blah, 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 and all that crap. I don't know anything about this case now. I don't know if this guy did it. I don't even care. I'm not a prosecutor, you know, do the right thing for society, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if he did it. I don't have the facts if he knows if he did it. And I certainly didn't know that thing. So to say that, for me to make, she's alleging that I made a statement, the boyfriend did it. Well, you know, some cases I have followed because I am in jail and I have nothing else to do but watch TV. But I weigh the facts, you know, I take, you know, like, did OJ do it, for example? You know, you weigh the facts about, you know, whether he did or not, he got off. So, I mean, that's a lot. But I would have had to weigh the facts. I don't know the facts in the circumstances, so there's no way I could make a statement such as that. How could I say he did it if I don't know the facts of the case? So, no, she's incorrect in her statement.
And it may depend on when that conversation took place with, between her and the investigator.
Well, Ward, wasn't he back when the deal was made? You know? And that was Ward, if I remember reading the transcripts, that was a name from from day one, when she was signed her little 12-year deal, no polygraph required. Hey, I'm giving you the truth there. You guys can prove me wrong. Go down there, ask her. You'll get a no. I keep telling you, no one does it. But I don't know why. But, you know, so that sounds like a conversation. But that's what you do. You want to blame it all on the other person. You know, you're going to paint that scenario. You know, like a psychopath scenario.
Okay. Do you know Robert Balkovich?
Just seen him on the odd time flashed on TV or whatever. Like I said, I purposely avoided this case.
Right.
I don't like this shit in my mind. You know what I mean? You know, anything to do. You know, unfortunately, when Carla came out, I watched and tried to discern truth back between fiction a couple of years ago. But otherwise, you know, I don't like to get into these things. I've had 100 lifetimes full of this stuff. You know, so and I don't want my mind poisoned with this and this and this. This case, I avoid it as much as possible. But I have seen this, you know, his face on TV.
Right. Anything else you would like to tell us about this investigation?
And yet another time, when the detectives investigating the crime and the families of the victims were hopeful that Paul Bernardo would finally give in details to find their loved ones, he's disappointed them yet again. This was another power move for him to draw more attention. It seems it's true that the perpetrator never truly faces the same horror that they inflict upon their victims. Even till the very end, Paul continues to take pride in his crimes and used this interrogation as nothing more than an opportunity to be recognized for his victims' ruined lives. On March 31st, 2008, jury did the retrial of Elizabeth Bain case. Originally, Robert Baltovich had been convicted for her murder, but after discussions of Paul being an alternate suspect, the decision was changed. On April 22nd, 2008, Baltovich was found not guilty of the case. Paul Bernardo faced no charges for this murder, and the Elizabeth Bain case remains unsolved till date. On February 26, 2021, 29-year-old Brittany Gosny and 42-year-old James Hamilton stepped into Middletown Police Department. They wanted to report Brittany's 6-year-old son James Hutchinson missing. It might appear as if Brittany was a concerned mother, but she had already gone to extremes for another James in her life. However, the detectives could see right through them. The officers knew that they were not dealing with concerned parents and considered both Brittany and her boyfriend James as persons of interest.
You have to be 100% honest with me with everything, okay? Because we don't have this, we're missing a 6-year-old little boy, and we're trying to figure out where he's at. I got to make sure he's safe, okay? What time did you get up this morning?
He woke me up at 8.
He woke you up at 8. Did he wake you up any time before that to say that James was missing?
Not that I remember. He said he tried waking me up several times, but
But you don't
I'm on
remember?
medicine, so
What kind of medicine do you take?
I take anxiety meds.
Okay. So he wakes you up at 8 and tells you what? Or do you wake up on your own at 8, or does he wake you up at 8?
Well, he woke me up, and because he went looking around first, he said he had come in there several times before to try to wake me up. And he said I didn't respond to any time. So he just went outside and looked around, went through all the rooms, the closets, and all that, and he couldn't find him anywhere. So then the next thing he thought to do was just go around a couple blocks, see if he might be close by.
Did he walk there, or did he drive there, or what did he do for that part?
He drove around.
Okay.
But he came back and woke me up, and he was like, you know, James is gone? I was like, what? And I was like, no, I thought he was upstairs asleep. And I even woke up the brother and sister, maybe thinking they might have seen him up, about, moving around or something, and they said they didn't hear nothing, they didn't see him. He's a baby, so right. I'm kind of worried about him.
Well, sure. Yeah, people in times,
Gosny's composure and her being devoid of emotions is disturbingly inconsistent with a parent who has just lost a 6-year-old child. As for her other kids, she refers to them as his brother and sister, and not her children. Something does not seem right with Gosny.
Did you hurt your baby?
Yeah.
Now, do you know?
I love my kids. I would never.
Okay. Do you know who hurt your baby?
No.
Do you know your baby's whereabouts right now? Okay. Do you suspect James is doing anything to your baby?
No.
Okay. You're 100% sure on that one?
Yeah, he loves him like everybody does.
For the most part, Gosny seems to be sticking to her story and appears to be protecting her boyfriend James. Police have already discovered a needle at Gosny's residence, suggesting the involvement of drugs. This only establishes to Detective Hoover that Gosny is not ready to open up yet. The next step is to determine whether James will also show loyalty and protect Gosny. While Gosny was being interrogated, James was visibly restless. James appears to be the weak link and seems to be more conscious of the threat he's facing. However, he also has 1 or 2 tactics up his sleeve.
Man, why does this boy have to do this? God, James, why do you do this to us? Come on, I'm gonna get out and look for my stepson. This ain't doing me no good here. I'm gonna have to be out helping find him. Come on. I want to go try to find my stepson, man. God, please. Let us find him. Come on, I need to go do something before I fall asleep again. I hate being sick. That's all I want to do when I sit around is go to bed.
As soon as the detective steps out, James can be seen performing a little for the camera. The defense mechanism James is portraying is called impression management. He's not only voicing his narrative and concerns for little James, he's also softened his voice to be perceived as less threatening. However, interrogators are trained to recognize such tactics and usually have their own tricks to counteract them. There is one other development at this point. Detectives Hoover and Matt know that little James was in trouble last night, and the information has come from a third party, the other children of Gosny. Detectives can leverage this information to obtain more from the couple, and they'll start with Gosny.
You should have told me. Okay? Again, if I find out differently, you could possibly be looking at criminal charges down the road if you're not telling me everything. Okay? Because this is serious. I'm missing a 6-year-old boy. I hope he just ran off on his own. Okay? But something's not clicking with me. Don't worry about that. Something's not clicking with me. Okay?
They're just family trying to see if I'm okay and stuff like that, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
So they come in.
So the last time you saw your baby was 9 o'clock last night?
Yes.
And the baby's been missing since 4-ish. 4:30ish, whatever. And nobody's called the police since 10, until 10, after 10.
We came here at 9 something, I believe it was.
I can tell you exact time, 10:16.
So at some point during the morning, Brittany goes upstairs and picks James up and brings him down the stairs. Do you remember that?
No, sir.
Okay. Because she's claiming you were awake and you were there when she carried him, brought him back down the stairs. Is she incorrect there, or is she making that up, or could that have happened? And
it could have. I mean, I remember. I mean, like I said, I'd sit there and I'd doze off.
Sure.
I mean, I was
Sure.
sitting right here going to sleep. Like,
Sure.
I mean,
So do you remember sometime after all the kids went upstairs and they were asleep or went to bed, because God knows they may lay there for an hour, but sometime after that, Brittany goes upstairs and gets little James and carries him back down the stairs?
Not that I recall, sir.
Not that you recall? Okay. Because Brittany's saying that you were awake when she brought him back downstairs and you guys talked briefly.
I mean, I might have. I do not recall, sir. I mean,
okay.
When I'm half asleep in that, I remember. Sure.
The detectives are resorting to a tactic commonly known as creating a rift between suspects to break the solidarity between Gosny and James. By falsely claiming that one suspect is providing potentially incriminating information about the other, the detectives aim to sow distrust and encourage the suspects to reveal valuable information in their defense about the incident. How is that working for Gosny?
Picking him up, taking him downstairs.
You don't remember anything about picking him up, taking him downstairs in the middle of the night? James is pushing this off on you. Okay, I'm going to be real upfront with you about this at this point. I'm getting a story that is totally different than what you've told me, and I don't know why James is telling me that, but that's what he's telling me. Okay, that's part of what he's telling me. Okay, he's wanting more detail than that. Okay, but I'm not going to share that with you. I need to know what happened last night with your boy, your 6-year-old. Or early this morning. In the middle of the night. Whatever.
I know he said that he had a nightmare.
The 6-year-old?
Yeah, but I didn't carry him downstairs or anything.
Okay, who carried him down the steps?
He walked down the steps.
He walked down the steps in the middle of the night? About what time was that?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't pay attention to the time.
That was in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I was more worried about what was wrong with him.
What does that mean?
Like what?
Why he was downstairs?
Why was he downstairs? Why was he awake? What was bothering him? Did he feel sick? Or he had to use the bathroom?
Okay, so he's downstairs, and what does he say to you?
Me had a nightmare.
Okay, in those words? Okay. So, me had a nightmare. What did you do? What was the next thing you did?
Just try to sit there and...
Where did he come to? The living room?
No, he went in there and woke me up.
In bed?
Yeah.
And was James in bed with you at the time?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
He come in there and said, Mommy, I don't know how many times he probably said my name. I'm a deep sleeper.
Okay.
But I was rolling over and I heard Mommy, Mommy. At first I thought I was just hearing things, and then something told me, like, maybe I'm not hearing things. So I opened my eyes and he said, Mommy, we had a nightmare.
We can get into all this stuff, okay? Tell me what happened.
James told me to get rid of the kids.
Okay.
And so I took them for a drive to make them think I want to get rid of them, but I'm not going to get rid of my kids for anybody on this planet. And he told me to get rid of them because they were not listening. He was tired of putting up with it. And I kept telling him, like, I'm not going to get rid of my kids. Like, I can take them, give you a break, and for me and them for a little while, take them for a drive, whatever, but I'm not getting rid of them. They're my kids. I will not do that.
Okay.
And I said, if I wanted to do that, I would have gave them up a long time ago. But he kept telling me, either get these kids under control or get rid of them or do something with them. So I tried asking family members to...
So what happened last night? Let's fast forward to that.
We went for a drive. I don't know what road it was.
Okay.
We were just driving around. Well, the kids were going to the bathroom. I had pulled over to this, a little booth.
In Middletown?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little stall or something. A bathroom. I pulled over to the bathroom and let them all use the bathroom. While it was raining and stuff, I left the door unlocked in the van and told them, we'll all go in here, not all of us at once, but each one of us go in here one at a time, use the bathroom. So we went in the bathroom. Well, I couldn't go in there, but when I went to go in the bathroom, I told them to go ahead and just get in the van. Well, James had slipped and fell because his shoes were wet, slippery, and he had hit his head. And
did it kill him? Is that what you're telling me? Did the fall hurt him?
Well, I asked him if he was okay. He wouldn't answer me. So I noticed he was breathing kind of heavy. And I thought maybe that's not normal. I've never seen him breathe like that before. Well, he was breathing. I don't know how long he was breathing for, but he had fell and busted his head on the side of the van and trying to get in there. And he was breathing heavy for a couple minutes, and then I tried to do CPR. I couldn't get him.
So he stopped breathing. And where's his body at? He's doing good. Okay? Just tell me where his body's at, because I got to go find him. For you. Okay? This is called closure now. Okay? Where's his body at? Would you take it back home with you?
No, I left it.
And you left it? So who's all in the car with you?
All of us.
James, you...
Yes, we always
then
know
the three children.
as a family.
So all five of you?
Yes. Well, I left him laying in there on the ground because I was going to call the ambulance, but I was scared, shook up, didn't know what to do.
Okay. So now we need to figure out where this is at.
Well, the little boy was laying on the ground. I went to the bathroom, told him to try real quick, because I couldn't hold myself. I told him, you try real quick to give him CPR. And so I went to the bathroom, I came out, he was gone.
Okay. What did the other two children say about all this?
Well, they were in the back seat, so they couldn't.
Okay. I'm going to give you a break here for a second, okay? Take it, relax, okay?
Gosny is nearest to the truth at this moment, and Detective Hoover is not ready to back down now. He rapidly questions her, not allowing her time to fabricate lies, and accelerating the process to elicit a confession, in a technique which can be referred to as rapid-fire questioning, or fast-paced interrogation. Although it's certain that Gosny will now cushion the truth with lies to mitigate her involvement in the crime, she cannot be given time to shell up again. Detective Hoover instead extracts as much information as he can that he'll next use to leverage James. Gosny has confirmed little James is dead, but lies about the rest. James might tell them where the body is and lie about the rest.
You guys are up, or she's up at Rush Run. She brings the body home. Does she go back up to Rush Run?
No, she does not.
Okay, this is going to help you tremendously. If I can find this and you weren't there, then if you can help me find the body, then that's going to be huge for you.
Right now, you're trying to do the right thing and to help out your fiance. You're protective of her already. We've established that because you were talking about having dirty pigs over, and you don't. And that's what a man does. The man protects and helps. I'm going to call her your wife, but nobody's blaming you for you trying to help her. But,
yeah. I help my wife. Okay, I understand that. I understand the love that you have for her. Okay, it's not what we're talking about. We really do understand that. So she brings the body home. Is it in the bedroom? And then what happens? Even if you yourself went out totally by yourself and got rid of it, I just need to know where. You're still
helping your wife.
I don't know exactly where it was, sir.
Okay, were you with her when the body was dumped?
Yes.
Okay. If we went out driving, did you take it back up to Rush Run?
We wasn't up at Rush Run, man. He's off a bridge. He's in the river.
Okay. What bridge? Middletown Bridge?
No. Cincinnati.
Down in Cincinnati?
Well, it's the bridge that goes from Kentucky to Indiana.
Was that 71 bridge? Is that 71?
275.
Oh, okay.
All right. Did you bag him up or anything?
No.
So he was in his clothing? Okay. How did you what time of day or night is this?
This was about 3 o'clock this morning.
This morning? Okay. What did you do with the other 2 kids go with you then?
No, they was at home and they asleep.
All right. So both of you guys get up. We got to do something. And then take him down to Cincinnati off 71, you're thinking?
275, yeah.
Okay, and just throw him off the bridge, or did you?
Throw him off the bridge.
Was it like a stream, or was it the actual river?
The actual river.
The Ohio River, the big one.
Yes.
All right, but you're doing good. I know this is hard on you, all right? Look at me. I know this is hard on you.
Now I'm going to jail just for helping her. And she's trying to blame me for this. God damn what she gets involved with. I'm getting ready to spend the rest of my life in jail for nothing, man. I didn't have no part in this except for helping her.
With this, James is experiencing the prisoner's dilemma. In the context of a crime, it occurs when one member of a group or partnership confesses to the crime, causing the other to feel pressure to confess as well to avoid being perceived as the sole guilty party. This can happen because each individual wants to minimize their own punishment and maximize their chances of leniency by cooperating with authority or shifting blame onto the other party. But in this case, the police have succeeded in making James feel that he was betrayed by Gosny and has only 2 choices. Either he speaks his truth or takes the fall for Gosny, leading to a painful revelation. What is really twisted is that James looks more disturbed by narrating his story. He's either scared of the consequences or is displaying a guilty conscience. Both these things are dramatically absent in Gosny.
Well, James didn't want to get out of the van.
Right.
I'm talking about the kid.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get out of the van. And he was forcing me, like, you got to get ready to kids, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, why should I have to get rid of my kids? Why can't you just go?
Sure. So he wouldn't get out of the van, and what happened?
And I told him, because he had to use the bathroom too, told him I wasn't going to leave him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was thinking about leaving him, so I kind of like pulled off a little bit, and James fell kind of down on his knees, got back, went to go get back up, and then just dropped.
Did you hit him with the van then?
No, I didn't hit him with the van.
Okay.
I didn't run him over. I didn't do none of that.
Okay. So he hits the van.
He had the van door slides open.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a handle of the van.
So the door is open?
No, they slide back.
Right.
It's a minivan.
Right.
They slide back. He had the handle of the van, the back door van, on the driver's side, And when I went to go kind of pull off, he didn't have the handle in his hand. It was kind of just like standing there. Not close to the van, but just kind of standing there, holding the van door, trying to get back in. Well, that door is messed up.
Right.
And I don't want to unlock it, don't want to lock. So, I went to go pull off, and James, as I was saying, he fell. There's actually a little, not a big glob of blood, but there's like this much blood, or maybe it might be even more, where his head had hit the concrete, and I rolled him over, kind of try to help him back, see if I can get him to come back. Well,
did you know he was dead pretty soon, though?
At first, he was still breathing. Like I said, he took a couple, like...
Where was he bleeding from?
Right here on his head, like he went to fall down.
Was he breathing out of his ears or his mouth? And if you don't remember...
he didn't have his mouth open.
Okay.
I know he had his eyes kind of like... You know how you kind of like sleep with your eyes open, like a tiny bit?
Right.
That's how he had his eyes.
Okay.
So he was like responding, but I guess couldn't talk.
Sure.
But he was breathing heavy. I don't know how many, I couldn't tell you how many breathing fast he was. But when I was with him, he was breathing still. And I was doing my CPR that I learned how to do and try to bring him back. And I couldn't. So I did it for like 5 minutes, and I knew after 5 minutes there was no getting him back.
So you carry the boy back inside. Have you already contacted James and told him what happened? Okay, by text or by call?
It was a text.
You sent him a text?
Yes, and then he called me, told me to bring him back because he couldn't get James to listen. And James had bruises on him from him hitting him. He's never hit me.
Right.
Ever. But, okay, listen.
Where were the bruises at?
Face, I want to say all over. Cover the place.
From James hitting your son? Okay.
Trying to punish him, basically.
Did he hit the other two children?
Sometimes.
Looks like she's got remnants of a black eye.
No, he's never hit her in the eye, but...
You ever hit her in the face or nose?
Actually, yes, because he kind of like punches them, like they lie. He kind of either punches them or smacks them in the
When was the last time he punched her? Because that looks like she's got a black eye.
I want to say like a couple days ago.
Okay. What did she do to get in trouble for that?
Lying. Okay. I kept trying to tell him lying, not a sin. They're kids, that's what they do.
Right. Sure.
You'll eventually catch them in the truth later on down the line.
James wanted Gosny to get rid of the kids, and she was on her way to get rid of them. She did abandon them, but little James could not let go of the handle of the minivan and tragically got caught under the wheels. However, Gosny literally cannot look remorseful to save her life. The combination of sociopathy and parenthood forms a detrimental dynamic, one capable of wreaking havoc on children emotionally, mentally, and tragically, sometimes physically, as seen in little James's case. The picture of him desperately clinging to the door as his mother attempted to drive away in the dark of 3 a.m. is painful. On top of this, there were 2 kids who bore witness to unimaginable abuse, abandonment, and the tragic loss of their younger sibling. This singular event, amidst the backdrop of their already challenging day-to-day existence with James and Gosny, has the potential to alter their world and reshape their mental and emotional well-being. The trauma inflicted upon them is so profound that it is likely to result in debilitating conditions, such as PTSD and survivor's guilt, overshadowing their lives for years to come. When the case of little James reached the court, Gosny's initial plea was not guilty by reason of insanity. But post-evaluation, she pleaded guilty to 1 count of murder and 2 counts of child endangerment. On September 13th, 2021, she was awarded a life sentence with the eligibility for parole in 21 years.
She keeps threatening me. Stop. Well, she keeps threatening me.
Stop it.
Well, she keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it.
This is the exact moment when this evil mother, Leticia Stouch, was caught for killing her 11-year-old stepson, Ganon Stouch. On January 27, 2020, Ganon went out playing with his friends but never returned home. It was already night, and 36-year-old Leticia decided to call 911.
Compilation, 911. My son was supposed to be home at 6 o'clock, and it's almost 7. He's only 11. Okay. What's his name? Kenneth. When was he last seen? Maybe around like 3:30, maybe. Has this ever happened before? No. So we went to the neighbor's house. My daughter just went to Stingray Park, and he's not there.
Calling 911 after just an hour of the child not being home may seem hasty, but not unless Leticia already knew something that no one else did.
You are?
I am Leticia Stouch, which is Ganon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20-some death threats already. 2, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, and in doing the investigation, I was told I wasn't compliant.
After an extensive search, Ganon's body was found. On March 17, 2020, over 1,300 miles away from his home, his remains were discovered tucked under a Florida overpass bridge. But prior to this, on March 2nd, Leticia was finally arrested by the FBI in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. In the following interrogation, you are about to hear Leticia lie through her teeth while making up the most absurd stories. Watch on and see whether they sound convincing to you.
I can help you because what you're charging me with is not, or whoever, is not the case. Okay. Ganon is alive, okay, and I can help you.
Okay, great.
But see, here's the problem. When I reached out to people about getting help, I said, hey, I need someone who's going to help me to help you guys. I couldn't get that from anyone at all.
We're happy to help you.
Okay, so I understand you might say you have like whatever evidence that you might say you have, but that's not a case. I did not hurt my child, okay? Need more assistance besides just FBI. You're probably going to need some DEA, probably need a lot of help.
Well, I'm happy to get whatever help.
Okay.
How do you know?
But I can't help you unless people are willing to help me. And I did offer every opportunity to sit down and talk with not only my husband, but with Landon to try to come up with the best plan to do it. I really did. And I've been begging every single day, please, please, please don't say this. Okay? I know you're expert in your field, okay? I know you may say you have whatever evidence you have, but it's just not true, okay? It's not. Okay, that's the truth.
Okay.
That is the very truth. And every day that went by, I had to do nothing but not only protect myself, but protect my family in this, protect other people in this, and that's just what it's been.
So I think our biggest problem is what happened at the house then.
At the house?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing that would have happened at the house that has anything to do with what I'm talking about at all. That has nothing to do with anything.
My goal, though, is to find Ganon.
Right.
And if you need protection, if there truly is someone out there, we can provide that.
That's not me.
Happen though, I will need you to explain what happened from that night.
Which night?
The night that he disappeared.
Because I've looked at all the news stories. We have been listening to your phone for the last month. It probably doesn't surprise you.
Okay.
We're listening to other people's phones as well, trying to find those kids.
Okay.
And we know from the internet and whatever else, there's a lot of stories out there. So if someone truly took Ganon, though, we need to know the real story, because you put out quite a few different stories. We heard a lot of the stories to Al.
To Albert?
Mm-hmm.
You mean like talking to him? Oh, okay. So let me just explain that to you, and you might think that's like super, like.
I'm not going to judge you here, Leticia.
Whatever. To him was the reason I already knew someone was listening to him, but because of him not ever like being like supportive, and I tried originally to talk to him when he first got there, that was the only reason I said those things to him, was just because I was out of anger and out of like hurt and not being able to have like support. It was nothing to do with like I'm sitting here going to tell you these stories. That was just anger, stupidity, to and I already knew, like if you heard it, you heard me say a lot of times, I know people are listening, because I know the same time that someone called, every time I could hear people.
Right.
I knew that. So me saying those things to him was just being what is the word you want to call it? Selfish or facetious or whatever you want to call it. Just because I was hurt by him not wanting to work together to figure this out, because I did have like originally initial different thoughts on certain things, and that was me trying to like basically read him and try to figure the situations out. So I understand that you may have heard those or whatever you may have heard, and that's okay, because that totally was not it. That was not me trying to be. That was just being stupid to him.
Okay. So you were of sound mind when you were talking to Al. You were upset with him and upset with the situation of him not being by your side through this whole thing.
Right. But then at the same time, like, I have to sit back and think that, you know, in a person's brain, you hear 100 different things. You do get like, discombobulated and just try to like do whatever. And I just wanted him to know, because he knows, like I've been taking care of our kids like for so long while he was gone and their mom was gone, and I'm not here to bash either one of them. They had a lot of different separate situations going on that I've always taken care of the kids. And so there's been times I've protected them from so many people.
You basically had to raise them on your own because he was gone a lot.
Well, he was gone a lot, and Mom was doing whatever she was doing, you know. So with that, like, I've had to step in and protect them a lot, so many times.
Albert Stouch is Leticia's second husband and Ganon's biological father. Leticia was left with 3 children at home, Ganon and Lena being her stepchildren, and Harley, her own daughter from another marriage. As Al was away a lot due to his work, Leticia was left alone to look after all the children. Although she claimed she was entirely dedicated to taking care of them, she actually resented having to do all this by herself. This resentment was clearly reflected in her search history, which she used like a personal diary. Some of these searches included the following. When Al confronted Leticia on the phone about his missing son, Leticia even gave him the most disappointing and vague answers.
So, but then you keep sending me messages, emergency, we can fix this right now, but then you never tell me anything.
Number 2, that's the second thing. We know that, all right? Anything I haven't done. All right, so why come when I gave them the information that I gave them, why did they not look into it? Why did they not believe it? Why?
What information about Quincy Brown?
Anywhere.
Are you talking about Quincy Brown? What information are you talking about?
No, I did not.
What information?
Okay, you just said they don't tell you anything, right? That's what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
So, which means they would have gotten information from me.
Okay, so what information was it?
And that I told them they have not covered any areas except only the areas that I drove.
Do you think Al was faithful to you? Was he cheating on you?
I don't, like, we never had, like, any conversations until, like, of course, Mad, like, recently. But, like, prior to that, we never had, like, fusses, or it might be something, like, Albert's the type of person, when he got work, he just liked to come home. He wasn't like, I'm gonna go do this with people. He just wasn't that type of person, and that was the good part, because
you know, like, not saying you can't. Like, I know, sure, you might say if a football game's on, you might want to go watch, you know, watch with your friends.
Right.
But usually, for the most part, we do it together or go over there and do something together. But it was never really like having our own people that we did things with and also kind of together. So we never like had issues or anything like that. Most of the time, but the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here a lot of times during like their breaks, and we would get like arguments about it. But he would always say, well, I have to, I'm obligated, you know, to do these things.
So you don't think he was cheating on you prior to this whole thing going on with Ganon? Or did you suspect?
That Albert was cheating on me?
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, there's been times in the past where I saw that he's talked to other women, you know, like on messages and things like that. But then he's also, like, you guys have my phone in the past, you would have saw that he's always apologized for, you know, like those things, like saying.
Were you guys considering divorce, you know, you and Albert?
I didn't know anything about any kind of divorce. Like, I know, like, we use the term loosely, you know, because there was a lot of stress having to deal with, like, the situation with Landon. There was a lot of stress because, like, we fought so hard and so long to get kids to, like, a safe, you know, situation. So it was very hard to, like, you've read someone and they're so emotionally, like, upset about the kids not being with us and we not being able to protect them that it was kind of hard. It took a lot, you know, toll throughout that time frame of, like, Alaska. I'm sure you know about the time in Alaska and things like that. So during that time in Alaska and stuff like that, it was very hard to like have to see him be so upset from so many miles away. And, you know, we get calls that kids didn't have a place to stay. We get calls that there was guns in the back of their car and people were being arrested. And, you know, so that took its toll in the terms of, like, figuring we should not have to, like, go through these things.
Right.
She claims she adored Ganon, which might be true, but there is a great deal of evidence that shows her trying to manipulate and scare Ganon. For example, in the video that we'll play next, Ganon had apparently lit a small fire by accident in the living room, and Leticia is confronting him about that. Ganon is visibly afraid, but instead of consoling him, she tries to scare him even more.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie, when the TMZ information...
Ganon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
He did it.
Okay, you promise. You promise.
On purpose.
Pinky promise.
Pinky.
Okay, all right, so, listen. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it, okay? So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa, we can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house, okay? You got it?
It is normal for a parent to get angry at a child for such mishaps, but what Leticia ended up doing to Ganon makes you wonder if her interactions prior to his death were nearly as innocent.
So when I say something
I'll talk to you in private, but you can't tell Albert about anything that led up to it or anyone else.
Albert will not know.
I understand that, but I will. But I need your help, and I need to know that you tell me there's resources, you tell me whatever, okay? I know you're saying you got whatever, this and that and all that, but I really am going to need help, like, a lot. Swear to you. Don't base it on some alarm reports, because they can easily manipulate it.
Well, we're not just...
They easily were. I know, I'm saying when you're saying no one else was there.
So...
When you say that, don't base it on that, please. I'm begging you. Because that was not even remotely. It was not even it. Not even.
So you care about Ganon?
I care about Ganon. I have reached out every day offering for people to go in these certain places to get even insight, to see. I've every day asked, hey, can you go do this? Can someone meet me here?
So you've asked someone to go look for him?
Right, like I reached out and I asked Albert, I said, hey, can you meet me? Let me tell you about this, and let's go to this location to look. I've asked all these.
What location do you think he's at now, Ganon?
No, No, I'm just saying like
No,
in general.
but I'm asking you.
In
right
general.
now, where do you think he is right now?
I don't know exactly. I don't know.
Well, where do you know him to
But
last
I am 99% confident Ganon is alive.
Okay. Leticia, where do you know him to last be?
I want to help, sir, but I'm in a room and you've already talking about all this and your courts and it's me against everybody else.
So here's the deal. Once this thing goes through the courts, you talked about that, you're the only one to be with him. You think you're going to be able to tell a story.
A story?
It might be a true story.
Gosh, sir.
But listen, I've listened to a lot of your stories, and I don't know what else to tell them.
Yeah, okay, but that's because I was mad at him. Had nothing. I already knew.
But I've seen what you told the news reporter. I've listened to what you told El Paso about this assault that happened in the house.
I already knew that you guys were listening to him.
Yeah.
So I said that because I was angry.
But what I think I can offer you today is some help.
Okay.
Okay.
It is cruel that even though Leticia knew from the very beginning that Ganon was no more, she still kept telling everyone he was alive, keeping his poor father's hopes alive even when his son was not.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at your story, the ones that you've told to Al, the ones that you've said in the media, of hitting your head. When you hit your head, you didn't see what happened. And then when someone else takes Ganon, or when he's riding a bike and he hits his head and stuff like that.
Riding a bike. I just told you I was saying that to Albert because I was upset that he wasn't listening to me, that I did not hurt Ganon.
I don't think you intended to hurt Ganon at all.
Sir, there's no...
No, I'm not saying you did. Or he hurt himself. Something bad happened in his room.
No.
Have you seen the...
Sir.
You helped clean it off the wall.
Sir,
we know that.
This here, what you're talking about is completely irrelevant about the whole thinking mad, whatever.
Tell me about, if it's irrelevant, Leticia, help me. Because there's a big blood pool in the corner, there's spray on the wall.
Because if I tell you anything about any of that, all you're going to say to me is, hey, da-da-da-da.
If you didn't do it, no, I will be your advocate. Because why, do we know each other?
No, but
Why would I care? If you didn't do it, and it helps me find Ganon?
I didn't do it.
Okay, well then help me find out who did.
Who did what?
That to Ganon in his room.
Done what to Ganon in his room?
There's a pool of blood in the corner.
Okay.
That's Ganon's blood.
Okay, so you're saying, now this is where I have a hard time knowing whether you're like, okay, trust you or not, right? You're saying there's a pool of blood. Albert said saucer-sized blood, because I'm sure you had him say all this, because I'm sure you were there, or whatever. Okay. In his room, and you said something about, what'd you say?
On the wall.
Okay. Then, if that's your whatever, your expert advice, or
there's
whatever.
More blood.
Okay. Then, where do you think that I had any involvement with Ganon, and where did he go? That's where it has to click at some point. That.
Because in here I even have what you entered in your phone. The stuff that you've entered and deleted. Like, blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not controlling.
Do what? I didn't look this up.
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
Spurting from an arterial bleed.
No.
Somebody did from your phone. I don't like my stepson.
No.
I don't like my stepson. Should I get a divorce? I'll stalk cheating. I'll stalk Instagram. I'll stalk cheating in Colorado Springs. Catch I'll stalk cheating. How to get blood out of sheets.
Out of sheets?
Mm-hmm. I want immunity.
Oh, the blood out of sheets was because we always had always nosebleeds. If I ever looked up blood out of sheets, it was nosebleeds.
And I figured it might be something.
I didn't ever look up anything about an artery or something unless it went from something else.
It's on your phone.
And I never looked up anything about my stepson unless someone else did.
The reason I brought up gangs is you looked up, I want immunity because it was gang related. And this sounds like, find me a new husband, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids.
The new husband is just because Albert already knew that was about the lady Debbie Sherrill who wanted to find a new husband after 35 or something. He picked me about Amazon.
And like a lot of these can have nothing to do with this.
It doesn't.
I get it. Can I spray paint wood?
Spray paint wood? Well, we always spray wood.
Yeah. I'm doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
Oh, that bothered me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame
Oh,
you.
yes, because I wanted them to be mine, like
what about
me to be their child.
Hit and run? You Googled a lot on Leticia and traffic accident, hit and run.
No, I didn't hit anybody.
No? What was that?
What date was it?
I don't have a date on these. I was downloading stuff as I was coming on the plane.
Yeah, no, I don't.
My husband wants a divorce. My husband wants a baby, but I want an abortion. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently, which I get that. Parenting should be for people, not one. Quotes a suicidal person might say. I mean, these make me very sad when I read them because I can see you're doing all the work at home by yourself.
Which I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to totally have the kids as my children. That's the point you're not getting. Like, I wanted those kids to be saying to me that I'm their mom.
Yeah.
Like, I am the person who cares for them, loves them, everything. So you can think that.
What do you do if you suspect a person swallowed poison? Did somebody actually swallow poison?
Poison? I don't know. I always click things and read them. No one
Did somebody swallow it?
No one swallowed any poison.
Okay. You will never forgive me and treat me like a princess. You'll never know when it's too late.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always search for things when Albert was gone.
What is an Alford plea? Did you figure out what an Alford plea was?
Alford plea?
Yeah. A-L-F-O-R-D.
I think someone asked me that and I probably searched it.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Do you remember? What did you remember?
I don't remember. I just remember something. Because someone was writing that online. So if anyone wrote something online, I looked it up. Just like the other day, someone wrote something about FBI coming or something, and if I see something online, I always Google what someone else said and see what they're saying is matching what is saying online.
Right.
So I did that completely. I do that all the time for everything.
Detective Grusing brings up other searches from her history, which are more than enough to point doubt at Leticia, yet she sticks to her story. The search history was also brought up in Leticia's court hearing and was key in convincing the jury of her crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not telling me or Bob Markham, the dad?
I didn't say I knew where Ganon was.
You said you know he's okay.
No, I said as a parent, I'm never going to sit here and look at you and say, he's not okay. That's not what I'm going to do because I didn't do this. So why would I look at you and say that? I'm dead looking at you in the eye saying, I would never as a parent say that. No way could I ever say that. Because I love Ganon. I did not hurt Ganon. Okay.
I told you where most of these happen. They happen in the house with parents who love their kids.
I get what you're saying, okay? I understand. I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate all the work and time and dedication you put into all of these things to have those statistics. But I am not the one.
But then if you're not the one, you're going, so do you know what happens from here?
What?
You go to a local holding cell.
Okay.
They hold you for 24 hours up to 2 weeks until you get extradited back to Colorado.
Okay.
You're in jail, Leticia. And unless you tell me that somebody else did this, you're the only one that did it.
No, I didn't do it.
But I'm telling you.
But I didn't.
But that's what would be horrible, is if someone else did this, and you're going to let them skate because you're scared?
Not letting someone skate.
What could you possibly be scared of at this point?
I'm not letting. Do you think I would sit here and let someone skate if I could take you directly to the person right now? Why do you think I would need resources?
You don't need resources. Right now, what you need is that if someone took my son, and I know who it is, am I going to go to jail for the rest of my life because someone else took my son?
No, absolutely not.
No, and would I be afraid of my own protection going to jail when I could be free and that person could go to jail?
Yeah, but she just sat there. Even if I walked you to the person, she just sit there and said, "Oh, I can't make any promises."
You can't make promises, but which is better? To go to jail for the rest of your life and hope that we find the person, or to point us to a person? If I'm in your position, it makes no sense.
Right.
Well, what could you be scared of at this point? Reprisals?
No, the fact that you don't have. Apparently, you would have found some of this already if you would have had the resources. That's what scares me.
Found some of what?
Anything that would have led you to think whatever.
No, that doesn't make sense. Again.
Sir, it does. Or what'd you say name? James? John?
John. Starts with a J, that's fine.
Sorry.
I'm not offended. Leticia, your story makes no sense. And what it goes back to now is that you can't take responsibility for what happened to Ganon.
I didn't do anything to Ganon, sir.
You can't insert someone else in here unless you're going to tell me who it is.
Okay, I didn't do anything to Ganon, sir.
That's fine. Well, then can you tell me how that blood got on the wall?
Sir.
That's Ganon's blood on the wall.
Okay, well, I guess, sir, if you think you have all the answers, then...
You're making me guess.
I'm not.
You've got the answers.
I'm not making you guess, sir. I'm going to be respectful to you. Because you offered to help me, you didn't help me, so I'm just going to sit here.
But it doesn't work like it does on TV. Have you ever watched Criminal Minds or Profilers?
I don't watch any of that stuff, because I don't do bad things to people.
No, good people watch those shows.
I don't do any of that. I don't do bad things to people.
All I was going to say is it's not like on TV. If someone presents us with evidence, then we just follow the evidence.
Okay.
Right now, you're the last person with Ganon.
Then I don't do bad things to people. I don't.
I don't think you do bad things to people.
I don't do bad things to anyone, and I didn't do anything bad to Ganon.
I think something bad happened to Ganon, and I don't know of a way to get you to tell me about it.
Okay.
I tried through Al to get you to tell me about it. We've tried here.
Okay.
You came, and I think you have a defense mechanism. And I think your defense mechanism was, you need to go into another room, you tell us.
No, that was not no defense mechanism. I trusted you to talk to you because I thought you would help.
If you trusted me to talk to me, you would tell me where Ganon is right now.
I don't know where Ganon is.
You do. You know where he last was, and it wasn't at the Petco.
Okay, then.
But see, you can't make me guess. That's not fair to me.
Why would I keep talking if you're not going to help me?
You tell me how to help you.
I already did. I already did tell you. I told you how you could help, and you...
Nobody holds a kid like that.
Okay, that's what you think.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
If the sun comes up in the morning, it goes down at night every day. We have worked hundreds of these things.
That's what you think. Okay. Me talking to you is not going to do anything else because all you're going to do is go think that you're going to get me to say something that I did that I didn't do.
That is not what I want.
Because I did not do anything to Ganon. Why would I hurt our child? I had everything in the world. Why? I have no motive. None. Don't have the first motive. Everything I wanted in my life, I had it. Why? Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense a lot of the time what happens inside of a house.
And sir, I don't even know what you're talking about. All I can tell you is I did not hurt Ganon. No reason to. In fact, to go on the record, I had a way better relationship with Ganon than I did with Lena. Way better. Because we were so much alike. We always like the same things. We always have problems with our stomach. We always do all these things.
Do you know that there's almost a correlation sometimes between how much you get along with someone and how bad things happen in the house? I'm telling you that, Tisha.
I don't. Well, maybe bad things happen in your house.
They happen in the house a lot more than they do out in public.
Maybe bad things happen in your house. But
would it help if we showed you pictures of what we saw on the wall and by the bed?
Sir.
When you say nothing bad happened, you can't get around. Yes, Al, we did not show Al that on purpose. He had to come get stuff out of the house. Mm-hmm. And he looked and saw the blood pool was about this big on the concrete.
Okay.
The day that Ganon went missing and the police arrived to search their home, they had found a large blood stain on the carpet and blood spatter all over the ceiling. When the forensic team examined the evidence, their first glances were enough for them to declare that Ganon was likely no more. There was far too much blood and too little hope to begin with. But till the very end, Leticia refused to accept what she had done, and in the end, a long search for Ganon prevailed. On March 17, 2020, Ganon's remains were found under the Escambia Bay Bridge in Pace, Florida, more than 1,300 miles away from his home. His cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma and sharp force injuries. It was found that he had been stabbed 18 times. Search teams used drones, dogs, horses, helicopters, and divers to comb through various areas of interest, and thousands of hours were spent in searching for him. Leticia Stouch pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity and claimed she had dissociative identity disorder, which results in multiple personalities within the same individual. She claimed that this was triggered due to sexual abuse she faced in her childhood. She also accused her husband of being involved in Ganon's death and alleged that he had connections to drug cartels and sex trafficking rings. However, she was found competent to stand trial by a state mental hospital, and her claims were dismissed by the court as unfounded. On May 8, 2023, after a 2-week trial that included testimonies from Ganon's biological parents, teachers, friends, investigators, forensic experts, and witnesses, Leticia Stouch was found guilty of all charges by a jury. She was sentenced to life in prison without parole plus 156 years by Judge Gregory Werner, who was reduced to tears after seeing Albert Stouch's testimony. He called her actions the most horrific I have ever seen and said that she deserved the maximum sentence that I can impose according to Colorado law. Leticia kept saying she had no motive to take Ganon's life, and this was indeed true. Given how aggressively she had attacked the child, it leaves us to wonder what kind of hate she had for him to begin with, and how much he must have suffered at Leticia's hands while no one was watching. In the end, a very loved son and a kind brother was taken way too soon.
Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like us to cover any specific case, please drop your suggestions. Also, remember to like, comment, and subscribe so that we can keep covering such cases. Until next time, stay safe.